there anyone in the crowd tonight who's from the Toronto area? I thought so. I thought that might be a possibility. I'm also curious to know, is there anyone here who has traveled a pretty far distance to be in this show tonight?
I started being able to play them for crowds, and they were really small crowds at first, which was still fun. But as the crowds grew, so did my sense of connection when you guys would do that, because it never becomes something that feels normal. It always feels something that, like, I think as human beings we just want to feel connected to other people. I think that's the best feeling in the world. It makes us feel validated when somebody's like, yeah, I definitely feel that way too, or I've been through that too, or yeah, I want to like spend, you know, my time being with you for 2 hours and listening to you talk and sing and jump around. It was awesome. And so when I was making the Reputation album, I took a little bit more time than I usually take to make an album, because I was at a point in my life where I felt like, for the first time really, I had no idea what I wanted to make. I had no idea what I wanted to say, but all I felt was this overwhelming feeling of anxiety about my reputation. And I looked back and I thought, you know, this isn't the first time I've been freaked out by the idea of a reputation. I remember when I was in school and some girl would spread some rumor
about me, and it just absolutely ruined not my day, not my week, not my month, but like way more than that. And so it's so interesting to grow up and you realize that that feeling was something you thought you were going to grow out of in middle school or high school. But people never stop talking about people behind their backs. And we just have to learn how to cope with it, and we have to learn how to get this sense of self that makes us feel all right about the fact that anybody could be saying anything about us at any given point, and it could be true, it could be false. We have to be okay with living with that reality, and making this album really helped me deal with that. And you showing up and selling out stadiums and affirming that you feel that way too also helped me deal with that. Because when it comes to the way that we feel and seeking connection with other people and being vulnerable and allowing ourselves to put our emotional trust in other people, I think it's really cool that you guys would come here and all be screaming at the top of your lungs about very, very delicate emotions.
I've never played live before.
Come back, be here. Come back, be here. Woo! Yeah! Taxi cabs, busy streets will never bring you back to me. I can't wish you to be your baby. This is when costumes off of a lyric.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna copy you, and I'm gonna base this costume that I'm wearing off of a lyric. I'm gonna sing a song called Dress while wearing
A dress. Yeah. A secret moment in a crowded room.
To see how loud it could be, right? Like how loud can this singing possibly get?
a moment in the show. This is the moment.
Oh my God. Special guest. Hi guys, so it's Monday now, and I just never had a chance to wrap up my vlog. I didn't film very much from the second Taylor Swift show that my mom and I went to on Saturday. So I just kind of thought I would give like a little wrap up of it. And there were a couple of highlights in the show that were really big moments in the show on the second night. I'm so glad, for one thing, I'm so glad that I bought tickets to the second night, because we got some pretty awesome surprises. So I'll get to that in a minute, but let's just say I'm happy that I went. As you can hear, my voice is still a little bit rough because that was 2 nights in a row of screaming, singing, dancing, crying. It was awesome. My hair is a bit of a mess. Basically, as soon as I got home on Saturday night after the concert, as late as it was, I could not go to bed without having a shower because I felt so sweaty and gross. The humidity was so ridiculous on Saturday. And even though the Rogers Center is air conditioned, when you're singing and dancing like a mad woman, it gets very hot and sweaty. And then, you know, you leave there already, you know, feeling blah. You walk out into like this sticky, humid weather, and it's just like, I had to go get home and have a shower. And so when I did, I just let my hair dry like this, so it's kind of messy. But anyways, I barely slept on the Friday night and the Saturday night. So I was super tired Sunday and was just like blah. I just basically was laying down all day, just resting my body, because I don't think I have ever danced so hard in my whole life. But anyways, let me just kind of give you guys a rundown of the day. I kind of made notes of what I wanted to touch upon. So the first thing my mom and I did is we went to A&W for dinner. We just got off the subway on the Danforth, had that, and then we headed down to the venue. I was a little disappointed because I had wanted to go down a little bit early again. I was hoping to get down around 4 o'clock again, because it was so much fun the Friday seeing everyone's costumes. And I don't know, I don't think I got too much in terms of costumes on video. But I think there was a lot of pictures of people that I met on Twitter that posted their pictures, and I'm going to kind of like, I think I'm going to include those in the video from the Friday. But, so you'll get to see some of the costumes then. But I wanted my mom to see all these amazing costumes that people put together. But she wasn't, because of the humidity and stuff, she didn't really want to go down early. And it turns out I'm even more disappointed now that we didn't, because Taylor's team was handing out meet and greets, pre-show meet and greets, to people outside of the venue, just like they were handing them out to random people. And it turns out that the reason for that is because it turned out there wasn't rep room on the Saturday night, which, for those who don't know, rep room is the special room that she has set up backstage for her fans. And so this tour, she's been doing meet and greets before and after the show. She never charges for meet and greets. They're all free. Usually the way it's been following this tour is her and her team will pick fans from social media to meet her before the show. Then during the show, her mom and her team go out into the audience and pick fans that look like they're having a really awesome time or have like wild outfits or whatever, and they pick them to meet her after the show. So yeah, so like the Friday show, they did before and after the show meet and greets. And then I guess for the pre-show on the Saturday, they did a combination of like picking people from social media, and then they just went outside and started giving out the papers to people. So I was kind of disappointed that I missed my chance there. And I mean, at that point, I wasn't aware that there wasn't going to be a rep room meet and greet after the show on Saturday. So I was under the impression that it was still going to happen. And so that was my incentive to go hard with my dancing during the show. Which I'm going to talk more about that later, because I just wanted to talk about that experience, and I'm going to do that towards the end to kind of wrap it up. But anyways, so I was upset that we missed the possibility. I mean, I know there's no guarantee I would have got the meet and greet, the pre-show meet and greet, but I figure like not being there gave me like zero chance, whereas if we were there, at least had some chance. We had great seats though. We were 2 levels up from the floor. So you have the floor and then you have the 100th level, and we were in the 200th level. And we were sort of to the side, but not all the way to the side. We were sort of in line with one of her catwalks that kind of came out sideways. So we were, I would say we were like basically right in line with that. So when she would come to the end of that catwalk. She was pretty close to us, had good view of her. The only thing I was a little disappointed with our seats was that we couldn't see the screen on the other side. When I bought the tickets, I was kind of hoping that we were not, like, we were kind of in between center and side, so that we would still be able to see the other screen on the other side of the stage, because her screens kind of angle like this, like they come together in a point. So when you're on one side, where we were, we would only see this side of the screen. We couldn't see the one around the corner. But I mean, at least I was there the night before and got to see both of them. But I was hoping for my mom, like, she'd be able to see both. And like on the Friday night, I had really wanted to film this part in the song Gorgeous, where she says, "Guess I'll just stumble on home to my cats alone." And then her, on one screen, there's a collage of her cat, Olivia, that comes up. And then on the other side is a collage of her cat, Meredith, that comes up. And I didn't have my camera ready fast enough to catch it on the Friday. And I was like, oh, I'll just get it on the Saturday. Well, you'll see in my video that when I filmed it, all you could see is Olivia's cat collage. You couldn't see Meredith because Meredith was on the other side. However, I thankfully came across a clip somewhere on, I don't know if it was Instagram or Twitter or YouTube or what, that actually got the full shot of the screen. So that was that. A really funny thing that happened before the show started. I don't know why I didn't think to film this. It was really funny. So because I had gone to the show the night before, I still had my light up wristband. Now, the way that the wristbands work is when you get them, you have to pull a tab to activate them. Well, when it's a brand new bracelet and hasn't been turned on for the show yet, you can pull that tab and the bracelet won't light up at all until Taylor comes out on stage, because it's all computerized to go with the songs and the music. So the funniest thing was that, so like I said, it activates when the show starts. It goes with the music. It's so cool. The colors change depending on the song. They do all kinds of cool things during the show. When the show is over, they then, as you saw in my Friday vlog, they turn red, and periodically they'll blink red like twice, and then they'll shut off for a couple seconds. So every few seconds they go off with a red light after the show is over. So I was wearing mine from the night before, and then I got the new one for Saturday on my other wrist. So the new bracelet, obviously nothing was happening there. Nothing was going off. And the old one was going off. My mom was the first one to notice that everyone around me, all the people sitting in front of us, there was a little girl and her mom. There was what looked to be an 80-year-old woman and her family. And then I actually ended up having an empty seat on one side of me, and then my mom sat on the other side. I had an empty seat beside me, which gave me so much dancing room, which was awesome. Then, beside that empty seat were 3 girls that were sitting that were total party poopers. I'll get to that in a minute. But, so those 3 girls, the people in front of me, some people behind me, according to my mom, they kept looking over every time my bracelet would flash. They kept looking over at me looking at my bracelet and then looking back at their bracelet that wasn't going off because they obviously weren't there the night before. And my mom's like, they look so confused. They're so confused why their bracelet, like, why do the bracelets not doing anything? And yours is lighting up. And she's like, this is the most hilarious thing. So then I started to notice it when she pointed it out. And literally, like, up until Taylor came on stage, it was like every 5 minutes or so, people kept looking at my bracelet and looking at theirs with the most confused look on their face. It was hilarious. So then basically then I was like, wait a minute. So, okay, I know that I was at the night before and that's why this bracelet's still going off. So then I'm like, I wonder how many other people were here the night before that brought their bracelet back too. So then it was kind of like a scavenger hunt. My mom and I were just kind of looking around the stadium to see how many red lights we were seeing, like, flashing on and off, because we knew that those were the wristband. And there was a lot of people there that had been there the night before. So that was pretty cool to see. Like, we saw 2 big groups of people dancing on the floor that all of them had the bracelets from the night before. We saw in the stands, like, all levels, just random lights going off. So I was like, this is cool. You can see how many people are like hardcore fans that came both nights. And I was a little bit worried being in the stands that I wouldn't get up and dance, because I'm always afraid that I'll be the only one that's going to want to stand up and dance, and then people behind will be mad that I'm blocking their view and they'll tell me to sit down. Well, thankfully, the people behind me, I could tell they were fans. They stood up, and then there was quite a few other people scattered throughout our section that stood up to dance. So I wasn't the only one, so that worked out great. When Camila Cabello came out and performed, she wore her Blue Jay shirt again, so that was cool. And yeah, like I said, I had so much dancing room this time because I didn't have anyone beside me on one side. And so I literally went harder with my dancing the second night than the first. Because the whole thing is that I've heard time and time again that one of the ways you can get picked from the audience is if you are just dancing like super hard, super crazy, you know, just anything to really make yourself stand out, so that if our team happens to be walking near your area, they then may see you. And I figured, okay, I have this bright rainbow dress that should stand out when people walk by. So like if our team walks by and I'm wearing this bright dress and I'm going nuts, hopefully I would get picked. And I'm telling you right now, I was so disappointed when I learned after the show that there was no rep room on the Saturday, because I feel like had there have been, and if by some chance Taylor's team, which is called Taylor Nation, if they had have come up into my section, the entrance to our section was right at the end of our row, which was literally 4 seats away from me. And the 3 girls that sat on the other side of the empty seat beside me sat the entire show. They kept giving me weird looks when I was dancing and having a good time. They were looking at me like I was nuts. They sat the whole time. They were on their phones half the time. And then the other bit, they were like taking the odd picture, and that was it. But they seemed so not into it. Like they didn't seem excited at all. And so, and I would say like 98% of the show, most of the people, like the people sitting in front of me, I would say the first 2 rows in front of me were sitting for most of the show. So was my mom. The people behind me stood up, and then like people towards the other side of our section, a lot of them were standing up and dancing. But in my general area, I was like the only one standing up. And even the other people in my section that were standing up, they were standing up and dancing, but not like to the extent that I was. So I feel like had Taylor Nation come right up out of that entrance that was literally right at the end of my row, I could have got picked because I stood out so much, which was the point. But my thing that I ended up realizing at the whole end of this whole experience was that I don't regret it. I was tired, exhausted, sore, in pain, but I don't regret it because if I hadn't known about the incentive of possibly getting picked to meet her, and that to do that you have to dance crazy and hard like the way I did, I would not have danced that way. Like anytime I go to concerts, I definitely always stand up and dance and sing along, but not to the extent that I did this weekend. And I actually have to say, feeling like I had to do that in hopes that I might get picked to meet her. Even though I didn't get to meet her, it actually made the concert experience 10 times more fun than any other concert I've been to. And so now I almost feel like whether there's a meet and greet involved or not, I feel like that's what I want to do now at concerts, because it just made the experience 10 times more fun, allowing myself to get so into it like that and to not give a crap what anyone around me thought about my dancing, whether I danced well or not. I just didn't care. I was like, I don't care anymore. I'm just going to dance like I dance when I'm listening to her at home. If it looks crazy, oh well, I'm having the time of my life. So I'm actually thankful that I knew about this whole meet and greet thing, because even though I didn't get picked, it really literally made the experience so much better. So I just went crazy dancing. I really, really did. So yeah, those girls though were like, pfft. I mean, even when we got the surprise guest of Bryan Adams, that was a point where literally everyone in my section stood up, except for those 3 girls. And I was like, everyone here is like literally giving a standing ovation for Canadian singer Bryan Adams. He's like a legend. And they just sat there like, I just can't understand paying that kind of money for a ticket to just like literally look bored out of your mind. You know what I'm saying? My mom, you know, like she was grooving to the music as she sat for most of it. She did get up and dance to shake it off. She got up and you know, enjoyed Bryan Adams. And she did get up to dance to one other song, and I forget what it was. I think it might have been Blank Space or something like that. Fans, hardcore Swiftie fans, like, they always come up with new things to do during concerts, new things to shout out. So the new thing that started this tour is, I think it was like a few shows into the tour, this one fan on Twitter posted a video of the opening to the song Delicate. And she was just so excited about the song Delicate that, okay, I'm just going to give a warning. There's going to be a little bit of swearing here. Just saying. So this girl, so as Taylor sings the first song, you know, like, this ain't for the best, my reputation's never been worse, so you must like me for me. We can't make any promises now, can we, babe? But you can make me a drink. This girl, out of excitement, yells, 1, 2, 3, let's go, bitch. And it blew up on Twitter. And next thing you know, the next show, another fan recorded themselves yelling it. And then it just caught on, and it became something that, like, with each show, more and more fans started yelling it. And Taylor knew about it because she follows her fans on social media and everything. So now I don't even know how far in, like how far after this started that she actually started to count on her fingers, 1, 2, 3. And then there was even one time where you actually heard her low key go, "Let's go." But she's never actually said the whole thing because I don't think like she wants to say the whole thing. But it's become a thing where she's like, she knows people are going to do it. So she does the 1, 2, 3. So both nights I yelled it at the top of my lungs. And I know others did, and I sort of heard others, but I don't think Toronto was as loud with it as some other venues have been from videos I've seen. And I have an itchy nose again. But on the Saturday night, I yelled it even louder than I did on Saturday night. And then afterwards, I felt bad because then I remembered that there was a kid sitting in the seat in front of me. And so I felt bad, but I mean, Taylor swears in one of the new songs off her album. It's the first time she's ever sworn in a song before, where she says, "If a man talks shit, then I owe him nothing," which is like, hello, hell to the yes. So I yelled that too, and everyone yells that line. So I'm like, they're swearing already in the show anyway. But so that was awesome. That was fun. I don't know if my mom had any clue what was happening at that point. And then another cool thing was for Delicate on the Friday night, she wore the rainbow dress, which that rainbow dress and also other rainbow dresses that she wore prior to the tour starting. She wore one in the Endgame music video. She wore one in promotional pictures for her new album. That's how come I got a rainbow dress. So I had been making friends with quite a few Swifties on Twitter, and there was this whole big group chat that I was in for all the Swifties going to the Toronto shows. And one of them was named Yuki, and I particularly, like, I started chatting with her quite a bit. And anyways, she had retweeted my outfit on her page, tagging Taylor and Taylor Nation. And she goes, "Taylor, please wear the rainbow dress one of the nights in Toronto so that you match Crystal." And I was like, oh my gosh. I replied and I'm like, yes, please, Taylor. And then I go, and I really request, like, actually both Yuki and I both said, and then we also would really love it if you wore the cotton candy dress on the other night, because for the longest time it was just the rainbow dress that she wore for Delicate, but over the last couple of weeks she came out with this blue and orange dress that she called a Tide Pod dress. She's like looking like a shiny Tide Pod, and all her fans thought, you know, it looked like a Tide Pod too. So she calls that one the Tide Pod dress. And then the next night she came out in this one that was like pink, purple, blue, and she called it the Cotton Candy dress. So we were like tweeting her and we're like, yes, Taylor, please, like rainbow dress one night in Toronto, cotton candy dress second night. And she did. Like, she wore the rainbow dress Friday night, and she wore the cotton candy dress on the Saturday night, which the video that I got, you can't really see it very well, but I did find a couple of pictures that people took that I'll probably include in this video so that you can see what that one looks like. So Yuki and I are just like in a discussion about, we're like, yeah, it was our influence. That is our influence on her wardrobe choices for Toronto. I mean, it could just be a fluke, but we'd like to think that we had some say in that. That she actually saw our tweets and, you know, listened to our request. Then, with the whole tour, at the beginning of the tour, She was always doing Dancing with Her Hands Tied as the acoustic, followed by a surprise song. People were really sad that she did every single song off of the Reputation album except for the song So It Goes. So It Goes was just playing with credits and blooper reel at the end of the show on the screen. So at one point over the last couple of months of the tour, she surprised people and played So It Goes instead of Dancing with Our Hands Tied as the acoustic song, and people went nuts. So then she told a fan she was considering alternating. So on Friday night, she did Dancing with Her Hands Tied. And so because of that, on Saturday night, just as she got to the stage after Delicate, because she flies to the stage, I'm sitting there and I'm going, please play So It Goes. Please play So It Goes. Because I wanted a different song. I was like, I really want to hear So It Goes acoustically. She starts playing the notes and it didn't really sound like it at first. And then she starts singing the first few words and I knew right away it was So It Goes. And I lost my ever-loving mind. I screamed so loud and freaked out so much that my mom was like, calm down. And I'm like, but it's So It Goes. Like, I didn't think I was going to get to hear this. I wasn't sure if she was going to alternate for us, but she did, and I was excited. Then she gets to the surprise song and tells us she's going to play a song she's never done live before, and it ends up being Come Back Be Here, which was a bonus track on the Red album, and I was like, is this even happening right now? I could not believe it. I was losing it, and everyone was going nuts. Everyone was singing it, and at the end, she was surprised. She was like, wow, I'm surprised to hear so many of you singing this. Like, I didn't think it was that big of a track since it was a bonus track, and everyone's like, no, like, we all love this song. And then she changed some of the lyrics at the end, that instead of saying in New York, she said in London, because her boyfriend Joe lives in London. And so that was cool.